Alright, I know I've been gone for a while. I'll just say personal stuff. I'm not going to get into it anymore, but trust me on this. My theory about R.E.M. is that up until Monster, each album was more accessible than the last. Starting with the muddy and cryptic Murmur, all the way up to the album I'm talking about today, Automatic for the People. I like a lot of R.E.M. albums, but this is among my top favorites, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit and give my thoughts on it. Automatic for the People maintains what a lot of people loved about the earlier R.E.M. albums, but it's much cleaner and catchier as well. This is also one of the most gentle sounding R.E.M. albums, and spawned several of their biggest hits. But I'm not here to talk about commercial success. If I had found this album in a dumpster after digging through 5 bags of trash to get it, and I had never heard it before, I would have the same opinion on it as I do in the reality we live in, where it spawned several huge hit songs that many people still know to this day. Many people consider Automatic for the People to be the last good R.E.M. album, as it was immediately followed by Monster, an interesting but also controversial album, one that you still find in thrift stores to this day because of how many people got rid of their copy. I think Monster is a great album, Dad, but Monster is not what we're talking about today. Drive is a great opener for the album because it starts sort of slow, but the whole song builds up in a really interesting way, and then when that guitar comes in about halfway through, it's like a jump scare, but in a good way. It's like being jump scared with pleasure. That's really stupid, I'm not going to keep that in. The song's lyrics, while pretty unspecific in the usual R.E.M. style, feels like kind of an anthem for the eternal archetype of the young rebel. I mean, everybody at some point has just wanted to drive and not look back, right? A friend once told me that she had been in the car for several hours on a long trip, and she appropriately listened to Drive over and over. That speaks to the power of this song, in my opinion. Try Not to Breathe is not quite as great as Drive, but it's a good second song and kind of opens up the album a little bit. It has a very empty and spacey feeling, which I think is appropriate for the mood the song is trying to set. Once again, the lyrics don't seem to have one specific concrete explanation, but they have kind of a ghostly looking back on your past kind of feel. I love the backing vocal in the chorus that goes, "You will never see." That feels like it's flying by in an airplane, or a ghost passing by in the night. Lyric highlight for this song is "These are the eyes that I want you to remember." Next up is one of my favorite R.E.M. songs, the Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight. The melody from the first second you hit play on the song is just so catchy and recognizable. And the sound of this song is super addictive, being upbeat but also kind of mournful. The lyrics are mysterious yet soulful, and they seem to reference waiting by a telephone for someone to call you, but the someone never does. And the chorus is fantastic. Calling Jamaica, calling Jamaica. I'm just kidding, guys, I know the actual lyrics, please. Overall, I love the feel of this song because it feels like something that shouldn't exist anymore and that they stopped making a long time ago, but you found one in the back corner of a thrift store. Not useful anymore, but still interesting to look at. A relic of a forgotten time. This song is gonna get the first gold star of today. Everybody say hello to Jonas. Okay, hot take about Everybody Hurts. It's kind of a corny song, okay? Don't attack me, but I just don't like it that much. I feel like it's a little bit too simple. The lyrics, usually Michael Stipe's lyrics are very obscure but also meaningful. I feel like the song, I get the point that it's trying to make. I feel like he just lays it out in such a flat way. Where is the aura? Where's the mystery? I don't hate this song, but I think maybe it's a tad overrated. Okay, before the music police send me to prison, I'll talk about the next song, New Orleans Instrumental number 1. I think New Orleans Instrumental is an interesting way to follow up Everybody Hurts, and does a pretty good job of it. While obviously it doesn't have any actual lyrics, I think it still conveys some nice emotion with the sound. It feels like the waiting lobby for some sort of office outside of time and space. Like you've just died and you're in the afterlife waiting for somebody to come judge you and tell you whether you're going to heaven or hell, but instead of some sort of mystical hallway or something, it's just a regular waiting room, but you can look outside and see the stars. I guess if you get sent to hell, that's when they play New Orleans Instrumental number 2. Sweetness Follows is pretty cool, but I wonder if it was the right choice to follow up these two slow songs with another kind of slow song. I think maybe Monty Got a Raw Deal and this should have been swapped on the track list, so you follow up New Orleans Instrumental with a kind of a banger, and then you go back to slow for a second before Ignoreland tears the house down. This song is pretty cool though, it feels very slow and doused in tears and honey. Death walks ahead, but sweetness follows. Monty Got a Raw Deal is a personal favorite from this album. I love when everything drops out for a second and then the drum kicks it right back in. You don't owe me anything, and then the don't you waste your breath. Da 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 da. You don't want this sympathy. Don't you waste your... Anyways, I like Monty a lot. I haven't really thought about what it's about, but I enjoy it whenever it comes on. It kind of feels like an old cowboy legend about an outlaw with a doomed future, but in modern form. But is he really doomed, or are his circumstances the result of his actions? Much to consider. Ignoreland is a banger, but I just feel like the vocals are a little bit too quiet. I know this is part of the style that it's kind of hard to hear, but I feel like they just overdid it a little bit in this song. Like, I'm always listening like, what? What is he saying? What point is he making? Maybe that's how it was intended, but I feel like it kind of distracts from the explosive nature of the track. Lyrically, the song is kind of a political protest song, which usually I don't like political songs because they're annoying and heavy-handed, but I think Michael Stipe has the writing ability to make it work, especially with the lines near the end where he's like, I know this song is pointless and won't ultimately change anything, but I feel better having screamed, don't you? Which is a pretty cool way to look at it. Because if you feel better having screamed, it means the song actually did change something. Star Me Kitten is a weird song. I guess they probably originally wanted to name it Fuck Me Kitten like he says in the song, but they couldn't didn't put that on the record or whatever, and instead of having actual stars, they decided to name it Star Me Kitten, because they're a little quirky like that, okay? This song reminds me a lot of Tongue from Monster. It seems to be about kind of a relationship that's like damaged and bruised and limping, but one of the people in the relationship is like, alright, I know we've been through all this, but come on, just give it to me, let's just do it. Which is pretty interesting, honestly, but musically this song doesn't do much for me. It's not one of my favorites off the album. The final 3 songs, though, is one of my favorite 3-song runs of all time. Man on the Moon, into Nightswimming, into Find the River. Let's start with Man on the Moon. Man on the Moon is simultaneously a tribute to wrestler Andy Kaufman and also an ode to the weirdness of the world. The song seems so mournful and melancholy, but then the backing vocals on the chorus are so uplifting. It drags you from the deepest corners of the darkest basement all the way up into the clouds of heaven in one quick second. This song is a lightning fast subway train that zips you around the world and back before you can say my hat is black. This song takes you up to the top of Mount Everest, lets you fall, and then flies down with angel wings and catches you right before you hit the ground. This song is a love note that somebody left in a book and forgot to take it out, only for it to eventually blow away in the wind and get picked up by sheer coincidence by the exact person it was written about. It seems to be reflecting on loss, but also sort of moving on from it, and discovering that there's more to life, such as conspiracy theories about the moon landing. Fun fact, the reason he says yeah, 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 yeah so many times in this song, noon got beaten by the apple good. Yeah, 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 is because Michael Stipe was trying to have more yeahs in a song than Nirvana with Lithium, and he was successful. Man on the Moon has more yeahs than Lithium. The lyrics were also written last second. Michael Stipe wanted to leave the song as an instrumental, saying it's such a good instrumental they could just have it with no vocals on the album, but the band members were bugging him about putting lyrics on it. He couldn't think of what to write, but at the very last second he came into the studio and just sung this, and everybody was starstruck. And I'm glad he did, because it elevated what would have been a quite good instrumental into an all-timer classic song. Easy gold star on this one. I could talk for hours about Nightswimming. I won't, but I could. First of all, the piano is so gorgeous. It just flows and tumbles like actual water throughout the whole song, and these strings come in later that accompany it like the moonlight shining on the surface of said water. The lyrics are some of Michael Stipe's best, about the potent longing for special experiences that aren't possible to have anymore. In this case, skinny dipping late at night with a few kindred souls. Later you remember those things in mundane circumstances, a photograph on the dashboard, a streetlight in the night, pining for the moon. The moon is still there, but it's not the same anymore. Lyric highlight is these things they go away, replaced by every day. The concrete steamroller of gray life is eager to take these experiences and crush them down into the machine. Sometimes, maybe even most of the time, it succeeds, but you'll always have the memory. The last song, Find the River, is a great way to close the album because it really does sound like an ending and a beginning at the same time. Maybe just a changing of cycles. Out with the old, in with the new, out with the red, in with the green. Never let them know your next move. The narrator in the song is saying they have to leave and find the river, and you'll be fine without me. This is just something I have to do. I've received a sign from the heavens, a star in the sky, and I have to go and fulfill my heavenly destiny. I can't stay here in this world of gray and blue and traffic lights and iron. Nothing is going my way. I'm gonna hop on a white horse and ride up towards the sky. It feels so sad, but also so ascendant, so uplifting. I couldn't think of a better way to end the album. Sorry guys, I had to keep this one on the short side because the Mac I'm using to record this is currently running out of battery as we speak. I see it right now. It's getting pretty low. I'm a little afraid. But overall, Automatic for the People is one of my favorite R.E.M. albums. The final Basement verdict is in the description as well as on my Album of the Year page, which you should go and follow. And check out my Twitter too, even though I haven't posted anything on there and probably never will. But I feel like it's mandatory for every YouTuber to have a Twitter account they never post on. Just, I don't know. I feel like it's just something I should do. I don't know, man. I'm not in charge of this stuff. I don't make the rules. Anyways, I don't really know how to end the video, so just peace out, I guess. Ugh.